This next one sounds like a video game soundtrack in a good way, like a SNES game soundtrack, which has made me think now I'm seriously considering doing a video on the Mega Man X soundtrack when December 17 rolls around. Because I'm not sure whether or not it qualifies as metal, but that shit fucking shreds. Welcome to Daily Metal, where every day a different metal album gets dissected for your sadistic listening pleasure. I'm the heavy metal lawyer Emma, and in this show I'll talk about why the music in these albums is so good and where they fall in the history of music's most wretched genre. On July 27th, 2020, Chinese melodic death metal legends Suffocated put out their album Infinity. And holy shit, just look at that album cover. It is rare that an album cover portrays visually so exactly what a band sounds like. Epic as fuck, over the top as fuck, larger than life in a way that few bands could get away with, but Suffocated does because their sound is so sincere. Like in many countries, and for the genre in general, the founding of heavy metal in China is generally credited to one band, Tang Dynasty, which formed in 1989, but the original lineup was broken up in the very same year due to some of the members' support of the Tiananmen Square protests. Tang Dynasty was the Black Sabbath of China, and the next development of heavy metal in China was thrash metal, and that's where Suffocated comes out of. The first big band in that scene was Overload, which released their first full-length album in 1996, and I don't think it's coincidence that that is the same year that Suffocated started. One big difference between Overload and Suffocated from the beginning was the subject matter of their music. Overload emulated the lyrical content of Western heavy metal and rock music in general, singing songs about girls and rock and roll. Suffocated from the beginning was focused on different things. Here are some lyrics from their early song, Bengkui. I'm using Google Translate, which is not great for Chinese, but this is roughly an English translation and will at least give you the general vibe. Quote, I'm uncomfortable, I collapse. I endure, I collapse. I endure the chaos of the world. Get used to running around in the squeeze. I endure the meaning of survival. To make a living for money all day long, I endure emotional torture. Musically, they were a more polished and modern-sounding version of late thrash and early death metal, with obvious Slayer, Death, and Sepultura influences. Not anything super innovative, but well played, and in some of the band's guitar solos you saw hints of more melodic inclinations. Their first full-length, Dead Wind Rising, was released at a perfect time in 2006, right when China's premier extreme metal magazine, Extreme Music, had moved to the band's home city of Beijing. The band's following album, World of Confusion, incorporated a broader range of influences like early black metal, like Venom, and groove metal, but still was pretty much a thrashy death metal album. The band got its big international break with its impeccable performance at the German Wacken Open Air Festival in 2012. But the turning point for the band musically came with their album Your Body is the Hardest Metal, which was made as the band approached its 20th anniversary, and they actually made a documentary about it as well. But unfortunately, I couldn't find an English caption version of it. Anyone knows where I could find an English caption version of it, I would really like to watch it. Anyways, Your Body is the Hardest Metal sees the band really starting to incorporate more melodic parts into their songs outside of guitar solos, and lots of arena-style group vocals as well as more melodic vocals generally. The resulting sound is definitively Chinese metal, similar to bands like Dream Spirit, the Chinese folk metal band, which the vocalist of Suffocated is also in. But it does have some roughly analogous parallels in Western metal. The two that come to mind for me are highly polished metalcore bands like While She Sleeps and Viking metal like Amon Amarth. The album You Are We by While She Sleeps even has an album cover that looks like a modern Chinese metal album, and not just because it has some Chinese characters on it. But holy shit, I don't think I've ever heard anything in all of metal on the level of Suffocated's Infinity. The album begins with an almost 2-minute instrumental intro, which slowly ratchets up tension and shows you from the get-go that symphonic music is going to play a big part in this album. The following track, Yi Jin Han, is insane and shows the band blending together all of its past music style with a freaking string section, like something out of a movie or a video game. There's so much going on in this track, layers upon layers of different parts. The various instruments are all playing different things too, which shows both a lot of composition skill on the part of the band and the album's producer, because it all coheres very well. When I first listened to this album, I was like, wow, they can't possibly keep this up. This is so much work on just a single track. And while Yi Jin Han is definitely my favorite track due to the infectious group vocal chorus, the rest of the album is just as well composed and complex, all 5 tracks giving the album a sleek total length of 27 minutes. And Suffocated have a new song out this year, The Completion of Epiphany, which continues the style of Infinity, and frankly, I would love more albums in this style from the band. I think there's a lot they could explore there. So, are you into Suffocated's modern sound, or do you find it corny or overproduced? Let me know in the comments, and if you like this video, please subscribe so you can find out what the metal album of the day is, why it is so brutal, and where it fits in the history of the genre.